Again, thank you very much for joining us. I want to welcome you to what's new in the CSU Global Library webinar series with the APA Style Manual Online, presented by the library here at CSU Global and the Writing Center. As I mentioned, it's going to be recorded and will be made link available to all of you who've registered, as well as it'll be available on our website. If you want to use the chat button to introduce yourself, where you're from, what you're interested in learning about in this webinar about the APA manual going online, please feel free to share. And we'll also have an opportunity for a Q&A session. You'll see a Q&A button at the bottom, and feel free to um, share any questions that you have about it. We can answer them live, or we can also have an option at the end to answer your questions. With that, I would like to introduce our speaker, our Director of Library and Academic Resource Services, Jeff Wall. He has been the Director of Library Services for about 4, maybe going on 5 years now.
6.5.
6.5. I got to update this bio. How did I have 4 years?
I think that they changed my title a little bit a few years ago, but
Okay, okay. And previously, prior to coming to CSU Global, you were the library director for Front Range Community College in Colorado for 13 years. And then before working at Front Range Community College, you were a law librarian for several firms in Denver. CSU Global combines the best of both of these worlds, Jeff says, as it has the educational aspects of an academic library and the fast pace of a law firm. Jeff holds a Library of Science degree, which he's earned from Emporia State University, and a Bachelor of Science in Music from the University of Colorado at Denver. He's a Colorado native, grew up on a farm near Akron, Colorado, and as he mentioned, he lives in Broomfield, Colorado now with his wife, Victoria, and their 4 children, who are all cats. And you might be seeing some of them. When not working in the library, he enjoys playing guitar, reading, bicycling, and hiking. And with that, thank you, Jeff, for sharing with us this APA manual online and for getting it for the university.
yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, so many of you have asked in the past, why doesn't the library have a subscription to the APA manual? And it simply wasn't possible in the past. APA didn't offer a collective subscription that a school could get to offer to all of its students. They just didn't offer that. And after people like myself and many other librarians asking for years and years and years, they finally decided to offer it this year. And when we heard about that, we jumped at it and did whatever we had to do to make it happen. So we do now have an online subscription to the APA manual that you can all use. And I'm going to show you how to use that today, show you the good things about it, show you the bad things about it, and just how to navigate this thing and use it. So I'm going to share my screen now. Okay, and let's see. Okay, are you all seeing my screen now? Are we
Yes.
good? Paul, are you seeing that? Okay.
Yep.
So first off, let's talk about where this is. So it's in a couple of places. If you want to go to the library, if you go to library databases A to Z, I already have that open right here. And then library databases A to Z. Under A, you just look, and the APA manual is right there. Okay. Now, also, if you go to the Writing Center, and we have a link to the Writing Center right there. However, you get to the Writing Center, it's right front and center on the front page of the Writing Center, right there. Okay. So I'm going to open this up. So notice it has me logged in here. One of the best things you can do with this is to create your own account in the APA manual, and then you can create bookmarks and notes and all sorts of things. So that's really good. How you would do that is, see, I'm logged in right now, but when you get into this, you would see a login button right here. And let me put something in the chat right now. There's a guide I've created for how to use this online. Let's put this in the chat. Let's see. APA Manual Library Guide. And in this guide, there are, let's go here to the how-to. There's all sorts of how-to videos. And so everything we're doing today, you'll be able to see this later. And in here, when you get into the bookmarks, it'll talk about how to create your own account. And then there's navigation over here too, which we'll talk about. Okay, so we're here. And if you click this dashboard, if you click right here, I'll show you how I use it. And then we'll talk about whatever you want to do. I think the most useful thing is to go here to the publication manual. Once this opens up, here's the manual. You'll recognize that right there from what you see on your print copy. And here's the table of contents. How I usually find things in this is I scroll through here and I go to whatever areas that I need to go to. Now, if you're looking for like the format of your paper, that's going to be chapter 2. Everything in chapter 2 is about how to format your paper. I'm going to show you what I think are the most useful areas to start off with. This is in-text citating, in-text citation. That's chapter 8. Chapter 9 tells you how to create reference citations for all sorts of different things. And then chapter 10 shows you examples of the reference citations. Okay, so I think that's the easiest way to navigate it. Now, you might be saying to yourself, well, why don't you use the search box? There is a search box. This is the one bad thing about the APA manual. The search box is not great. Okay. And so don't get discouraged if you can't find it using the search box. Go over to the publication manual and then just navigate to it. So, for example, if I'm looking for how to cite a book chapter, I'll type it in. You'll see it's not the greatest. It's not terrible. It's kind of slow here. It's waiting to populate. So you might first think when you run a search, you might think, well, there's nothing in here, but it takes a while for it to populate. And then as you're looking through here, it's kind of, see, you're not really seeing things completely related. Chapter and reference list, that's good. How I will do this, if I'm looking for a citation format and I've typed this in, it's searching everything in here and bringing it up. I'm going to click here, show more. And I know that chapter 10 is where they give the reference examples. So then I'll click that and then it'll reformat. And this is what I'm looking for: edited book chapter and entries and reference works. And then go to that. So if you're looking for a citation and you run a search and you don't see it, expand your options and click on 10 or chapter 9. Chapter 9 will tell you how to do it. Chapter 10 will show you an example. And then when you click here, I'll go to the manual and it will bring me to that page. Okay, and here it's telling me, it's giving me, showing me how to do these things. And then if I pull down here, this gives you the format and then gives you all these different examples. Okay. So now, because it's kind of tricky to find things in here, one of the coolest options they have in here is the ability to create bookmarks. And when we first came in here, if you noticed, there was highlighting. I added this highlighting in here. For ebook chapters or entries, the format, platform, or device is not included in the reference. So this is something that I particularly thought was interesting. So I added a highlight, okay? And now in my account, not everybody's account, but in my personal account in APA, that's going to be in there every time I do this. And right over here, bookmarks. This is something I rely on very heavily with this. The things that I'm going to go back to quite a bit, I've bookmarked. So I want to get to in-text citations. I don't want to have to look for that every time that I open this manual. So for me, I just have that bookmarked. And then when I want to get to that, it goes right to that system. So let's show how we do. Now, first off, I'm logged in. Okay, that's why it says log out. What you would do, create a free account in here. And then you can do this. You can't create the bookmarks and the highlights and things like that and the notes until you have an account. And I think it's very, very important you have that account in there. So what I'm going to do, let's go to the manual when this opens up. And let's go to paper elements. Let me look in here. Okay, student paper requirements. Okay, maybe like the title page. This would be good for me to have so I can get back when people ask me questions about the title page. So they're telling you about the title page here. So all you have to, you don't have to highlight the whole section. I'm just going to highlight just where I want it to bookmark. Now notice this pop-up, bookmark this section. So now I bookmarked this section, and then it's going to add a bookmark over in my bookmarks here in the future. When I want to go to that section, it's going to be in there's my section for bookmark, and it's listing them as I did them. The most recent is up here. Now I could change that. I could change how these are displayed and display them by chapter. That might be a better way to do it. So you can arrange these however you want. Now let's go back. Let me go into that bookmark for the title page. Now, another nice thing you can do here is you can, like I was saying earlier, you can add highlights. Okay, so let me look for something here that's kind of tricky because there's so many tricky things in here. Title page required. There is both professional and student versions. Okay, this is something that really messes people up. Is the professional papers and the student papers are different, and sometimes that's hard for me to remember. So I'm going to highlight that one. Now, when that pops up, I'm going to highlight it. Add highlight, and now I've got that highlighted, and every time I go to that section in the APA manual, that's going to be highlighted. Let me look a little further down here. Student title page. Okay, I like that. Let me bookmark that so I can know how to get, because I get asked questions about student papers. So I'm going to add a bookmark this section. Okay, I'm also going to do this. Students should follow the guidelines of their instructor or institution. Okay, because sometimes you'll get different instructions from your professor. This time, I'm going to highlight it in blue. I'm going to have to, because I do a lot of highlighting. Now that's going to be blue. Okay, so it's really pretty easy to use. The search box is not great. Okay, when you go through, I would recommend go through, create an account. Okay, go through and find the areas that you think are the most interesting or the things that you use the most. Okay, and then add a bookmark. Let's go through this again. Let me bring another thing that's kind of tricky. Let's go to, I'm going to find publisher rules when I'm doing a reference list. That's something that's kind of tricky. I'm going to go, so I went over here, dashboard, publication manual, table of contents, and publisher is listed under source. Where did your resource come from? Okay, so now I'm in source. Let's look through here. Definition of a source, format of the source element, periodical sources, and I'm going to look through till I find something that's really what I'm looking at. Publisher sources. Okay, I need to get to that regularly. So I'm going to right off the bat, I'm going to bookmark that because I know I'm going to need that. Okay, and let me look through here a little bit more. Okay, and then they get into some really specific rules. Okay, if the work is published by an imprint or division, use the imprint or division as the publisher. So sometimes you get things that are smaller divisions of the publisher, and they want you to use the imprint or division as the publisher. I'm going to highlight that because that question comes up. I'm going to highlight that one in green. Okay, and I've got that in here. And another thing that's tricky in here, do not include designations of business structure. So if it's Sage Publications Limited, don't do that. Don't list those. That's hard to remember. I'm going to highlight this. So the nice thing is it's set up to work. I'm going to do this one purple. Add a highlight. It's set up to work kind of like a book. If you had a book in front of you. Okay. Now, this is another to see. Now you got me going. I'm having fun here. Database and archive sources. This gets asked for a lot because there's different rules in the 7th edition. I'm going to add a bookmark. So let's see here. I'm going to move my Zoom box here. Set that. I'm going to bookmark that section for sure. Okay. Database and archive information is seldom needed in reference list entries. You used to have to say what database you got things from. Not anymore. Okay. I'm going to highlight that so I don't forget it. Okay. And now I'm starting to create my own version of the APA manual. Let me tell you about one more thing, and then we'll check in and see how people are doing here. Okay. Right here. Okay. I'm going to add a note. You can also add notes. Okay. I'm going to add a note for this section. And let's see. It's in here somewhere. Come on now, add my note. Okay, so I'm gonna add a note. Uh, well, gosh darn it, I need to, wait, add note. Okay, come on. Now see, it doesn't only happen to everyone else, it happens to me sometimes. I forget how to do these things. Um, oh, my note's down here. There it is. Okay, okay. I'm just gonna put in here. Remember, library database information is not required in the citation. So now it's like I'm adding that note in a book, but now I have it here. Okay, and now when I go to that section, that note is going to be in here on the side to remind me that this is something I've run into. Okay, let's check in with chat. How are we doing, everyone? Is everyone, are you following me? Are you with me? Are we good? Have I left people behind? How are we doing?
I've got one question that came
Okay,
through, but I think everybody's, getting a lot out of all the bells and whistles. Like you said, it is like any kind of an ebook platform. It comes with all of the different functionalities and things that you can use to now really kind of personalize it, make it your own.
yeah,
So thank you for highlighting those pieces.
yeah,
Somebody did ask that they weren't sure if this was going to be covered, but as AI continues to be integrated into our lives, studies, and courses, can you please review the proper ways to cite for APA 7? Or at least where can we find examples to correctly cite? I sent the student or
but
the attendee the guide that the Writing Center has on their website, and I'll share that with the rest of the group as well if they've not able to see the Q&A section, but I think they should be able to see that. But I'll go ahead and share that with them as well. There are
great.
some guidelines that have been published since, because the APA manual came out in 2020. Obviously, AI was not really it was around, but it was not as, prevalent or as robust as it is now and dynamic as it is of a tool and as ubiquitous in our lives. So we did create a guide, and there is something on the APA style blog as well, and I'll share that with folks too.
Cool. Yeah, that's true. Since this was published, and this is the seventh edition, this is as
Mhm.
it had occurred in print. So yeah, they didn't really I don't think they provided guidance in the APA manual for AI. So some different information has come out since then, and Paul has that in the Writing Center. So that's actually going to be a better source for that thing. And it is, they publish a new manual about every 10 years. We'll see if maybe they publish an updated one because AI has changed things so much. But right now we got, this is the manual, and there are things that come out that are not included.
Mhm.
One other thing that is really one of the coolest aspects of this is this right here, lessons. This is
Mhm.
great. If you go to lessons, they've got all these different lessons. Let's go into one here. Well, actually, oh, wait, here we go. This is a good one. Basic paper setup. And you open this up when it opens up. Okay. And this is just what it is. It's lessons on how to set up your paper. And you just go through, and this lesson will just show you how to do it. If you're like, well, I already know that, you can skip forward. Let's talk about page headers.
Mhm.
Skip forward to that section. It's great. I love the lessons. Let me go back to these lessons again. And the lessons, I have found the lesson search works actually better than the search all content. Let's do in text. Here we go, citing references in text. So I actually like the lesson search better than the regular search. And then we open this up. It's going to be a lesson on how to do all things in text citation. And it's a great review. Remind you, even if you do this a lot, let's say if you want to skip past, okay, I kind of understand what they're for, but how about formatting in text citations? Look at that, work by one author. You open that up, gives you an example. Work by two authors. There's your examples right there. Work by 3 or more authors, and work by a group author. And that's a
But
really quick way to get that information. I think it's great.
yeah, I think something about the three or more authors, or they're showing like the parenthetical versus the narrative citation. If you were going to cite it when you're including it in your narrative, right? You're saying Browning et al. 2014 states blah, 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 blah,
That's true.
instead
That's true.
of Browning et al. 2014 would probably appear at the end of your paraphrased, or, they're not showing a direct quote there, but I think it's really useful that they have those two different examples. Um, I
Yeah.
think the benefits of these lessons are just having access to all of this, even the sections that we're not highlighting just because of time, that for returning students, returning to college students for the first time, maybe coming to college, and what are the expectations? Or, why is my critical thinking assignment saying I have to cite it this way? These will help provide some of that background, or what a heading is, or exactly what an in-text citation would look like if I'm citing a group or a organization author, how beneficial this is. We do have a student raising their hand.
Okay.
Did you want to unmute yourself? Did you have a question? Let me see. Who is raising their hand? Was that you, Timothy? It came down, but feel free to enter the question in the chat.
Um, Also, in this guide that I sent you that link for, because there are so many bookmarks and things, and it's not the easiest to navigate, this right over here, so there's the APA manual how to, then there's the APA manual navigation. And this can get you set up with what I think are, these are the most commonly asked for sections of the APA manual. So if this is helpful, you can look through here, and most of what probably you're going to be looking for, you'll find links to here just to get you started. Now, I do think it's great to go in there, create your own login, and then bookmark everything you need to bookmark. But this would maybe get you started.
Oh, here was a question from Matt. I'm sorry, Matt. I didn't see it fast enough to know who was raising their hand. I can unmute you if you'd like. They said, on the group authors, does this relate to like a book with multiple authors?
I think when you're talking about a group author, you're talking about a corporate author, the American Bakers Association, when the American Psychological Association, the Small Business Association. This is when an organization is designated as the author, which you will run into. I think when you're talking about work by 3 or more authors, that's this, or work by 2 authors.
Mhm.
Now, there's another thing that's really tricky. I find the trickiest one is when you have a book that's an edited book, and there's an editor who has included chapters by all different types of authors. And that's what I was looking for earlier. Let's see if I have a bookmark for it, because I have troubles with that all the time. Let me look through here and see.
Yeah,
Work.
there's a special way to format the chapter of a book or editors, and you're maybe citing that chapter, but the
Yeah,
title of the book also needs to be included in it with the addition of the author of that chapter
yeah.
with the editors. That one can get gnarly for sure.
Let me see. You can see I'm starting to get a lot of bookmarks in here. Here we go. That is called an edited book chapter. Okay. And so, I created my bookmark because I get hung up on that one all the time. I can just go to my bookmark now. And there we go. And you see I have some highlighting in there. Um, I'm looking through edited book information, chapter author. Now there's the group. If it's a group instead of a person, the date. And these are kind of nice editor book information. And then let's go down to the examples. I usually go to the examples. And then I can just kind of look through and see what these different things would look like. And there's all sorts of exceptions to this. Okay, so that's really your overview of how to use this. it's not hard to use. And I think once you understand the bookmarks and the highlights, you can really make it your own. I mean, I have over here somewhere, I have my APA manual. I use it all the time, and it's filled with physical bookmarks.
It
But
has
mine's
all
kind
of
of
those little
falling apart.
tabs. Yeah.
Got these tabs all over it, which is great. The tabs are great, but now you can add your own tabs. And if you were to look through here, I have highlighting and writing all over this thing. That's how I use print books. And I really like this. I mean, I'm not thrilled with the search function, but I am really happy with this bookmarks and notes and highlights. This is so cool that I can use it like a real thing. Now, also I could search my bookmarks. Search. Now let's see if it was able to find it. Well, according to it, it had all. Now, if you don't see it in your bookmarks right here, it's only showing 6. I've got a bunch of bookmarks in here. So, okay, it did find it, but according to it, chapter was in all of my things. So, their search not amazing, not amazing. What if I do a little more specific? Okay, I had to get really specific. So the bookmarks are awesome. The notes are great. The highlights are awesome. The lessons are great. I really like being able to navigate it online and go through the table of contents. Search function, not amazing.
I have a
And
question,
another,
Jeff. Oh, sorry.
oh,
Go ahead.
one other thing, if you're having a hard time finding something, what's really useful in the manual is they have a very good index. And I go here all the time. And I look through the index a lot to see what's here. And I want out of curiosity. Yeah, I just did a control find in the index. That would be another way to search through the index because their index is very good. Okay, I'm going to stop talking here for a little bit. This is so much to talk about here. Did we have another question or have a comment or something?
We do have a question. This is a good one. This
Oh
one,
boy, here we
oh,
go.
this is going to be a curveball. All right. This one that Jeff and I have talked about several meetings. Cynthia says, I like this tool in our legal writings. I understand we need to use APA 7 format with Blue Book citations. Our assignments grading rubric criteria states that project contains proper Blue Book formatting according to CSU Global Writing Center. My initial research tells me that I don't need a reference page because Blue Book does not use an APA style reference page. The in-text citations serve as complete legal references. Will this be clarified by the Writing Center or legal department for clarity and consistency? It gets confusing trying to follow this APA manual and the Blue Book citations and finding direction for a reference page. We feel your
You
pain.
want to take that, Paul, or do you want me to take that?
I think we could tag team this one for sure, for
Okay.
sure. So the legal courses that have been written here at CSU Global, we've been working with that department for a long time now, trying to make it clear that it's going to be difficult to try to merge two different citation styles. It was our understanding that they were not going to do that. So they were just going to require legal citation through Blue Book citation guide, which there is no format for a paper written in that style. So maybe Jeff, you can help with this clarification. It was understood that they were going to use footnotes at first, and then that changed, and that they were going to use now ultimately the in-text citations and no APA style for that critical thinking assignment. I understand that some of the requirements or some of the assignments come with either a template or refer to the text in order to write that case briefing or a memo or something like that. But those two shall never merge or should not merge. That was our understanding. But as you state, Cynthia, I understand that there are still expectations to blend those two. We're finding that the message has not gone out to all faculty.
Yeah, it, I know this isn't helpful to you, Cynthia, but it's confusing to us too. We're not exactly sure. We're trying to provide support, but ultimately it's up to that department to make these decisions on what they want to do. And it's a new program, and I think they're running into a few issues there. So with making this decision on what they want to do, because it really doesn't work very well to try to blend APA and Blue Book style together. First off, Blue Book is just a system of citation. That's all it is. It just shows you how to do citations. It doesn't have any paper formatting advice because it's not a research paper guide. It's a guide for creating citations when you're putting together a legal document or a law review article. It's not the same thing as a standard academic paper. So I think there was a little confusion about that. I wish that Paul and I could fix it. We've been really working with this department trying to make them understand that it's confusing. They're coming around to it. They've made some improvements, but unfortunately, Paul and I don't have the ability to just say this is what's going to be done and you're going to do it this way. So it is confusing. Um, there is a section of the APA manual that has legal guidance. You might want to look at that. But a lot of what they're going to say in there is to go to the Blue Book. So I wish we had a better answer for you. We're really just talking about the APA manual today, but it isn't our decision how they're running the legal courses and the citation requirements. We're trying to help, but I think they're still trying to figure it out. I wish I had a better answer for you. I would definitely express those concerns you have to your instructor.
And I do have that guide that was shared with us from the program manager. I think I shared it with you as well, Jeff, but I can
Yeah.
forward that on to you, Cynthia, as well after the webinar that shows, I think it's a really good example that they were thinking about adopting from another university who uses the Blue Book to give you
Okay.
some ideas on how to cite in text from the Blue Book guide. So I think that would be helpful as well. And I'll be sure to follow up with you on that after this webinar. Um, Kind of a segue into, if you wouldn't mind, Jeff, looking at the manual again into chapter 4. For those of you who, as I mentioned, may be returning to college or wondering why, you know, you're being asked to do some of these things. This whole thing, the chapter 4 I like is kind of like your own handbook of style and grammar and things, what to expect in academic writing or what questions that you might have that like with your writing continuity and flow, I think conciseness and clarity are some of the academic expectations of our students who come to any university. I remember when I first came back to school after being away for 15 years, thinking, oh, my professor definitely wants to hear me write 12 pages on this subject. And I think I ended up getting a C, a low C, and he really needed to have some brevity with my writing. And so learning through trial and error, here's some, I think chapter 4 really lends itself to learning about kind of academic expectations at a university. I like strategies to improve your writing, some things to think about when you are approaching your writing. There's, reading it through, maybe reading out aloud to yourself, and these types of strategies that are useful. I think it even recommends going to the writing center. Writing from an outline is a good one. Proofreading, seeking help from colleagues, and then working with copy editors and writing centers. Know you have
Mhm.
access to the writing center if you have any questions about, your paper or want somebody to read it, take a look at it and give you some feedback on. We can do that here in the Writing Center as well. Let's see if we have any other questions. You're welcome, Cynthia. Thank you for your question. I don't have any other questions. Is there anything else about the APA manual that we haven't covered? I think that's the skinny of it. I really appreciate you bringing this to the library, giving everybody access to it, Jeff. This is such a great resource, something that's been a must have for
Yeah,
universities for years. So I'm glad that they finally
yeah.
decided to share that with others.
One other thing I wanted to mention, and I've encountered this before, and I bet a few of you have encountered it before. Uh, you're you've looked in the APA manual, you've met with the writing center, you've done everything you needed to do, and you formatted something the correct way, and you know it's correct because you double checked it in the manual. You turn in your paper, your instructor counts you off and says it's wrong, and you know it's right. The nice thing about having this online, you can prove your point. You can go if there's a citation or something you've been told is wrong and you know it's right, you can go to that section and look up whatever you need to find in here and then go to a multi-volume work, for example, and you can now this the way the links work on here. Um, this is page 316, and what you could do, you could just grab this link and you could say, you know, say it politely, but like, I did consult the APA manual and I looked at example 30 from page, whatever page that was on 313, and you can send a link to this rule if you need backup to prove yourself right. In the past, that was hard with just print. You'd say, well, I looked at this rule in here, but now you can send a link and you can say, this is what the APA manual says, this is how I did it. It's pretty hard to prove you wrong if you're citing right back to the APA manual. And I know some of you out there have experienced that, and I've seen it when working with students. And so now you have backup and you really can't. And again, if the instructor says, well, I want you to do it this way, then you can say, okay, that's not APA though. You said you wanted APA. And also cut your instructor some slack. Sometimes they're just not aware of what the most recent rule is, but you shouldn't be graded down if you're doing it right and you're told it's wrong. So this gives you a nice backup whenever when you find yourself in a dispute like that. And it does sometimes happen.
Don't see any other questions. Feel free to reach out to us, either one of us, after the webinar. Like I said, the webinar link to the recording will be shared with all of the registrants, and it will also be available on our Writing Center website. I'll send that link out to all of you as well, and how you can access past webinars that we've had, and we house them all on our Writing Center website. If there's nothing else to add or any more questions, thank you, Jeff, for providing this webinar for us and sharing the APA style manual online with us.
Cool. Thank you. This was great. Thanks for putting this on.
Absolutely. Thank you all so much for joining. Have a great rest of your day, everybody.